Welcome to the Monitor Forests Offline and in the Field webinar. My name is Alice Gottesman and I am Global Forest Watch's User Outreach Specialist. Today we'll be highlighting the recently revamped Forest Watcher mobile app. Before we get started, I wanted to give you an overview of how to ask questions. If you have a question about what we're presenting, please click on the Q&A button and type it in there. At the end of the presentation, we'll have some time to answer questions. Otherwise, we are recording this webinar and we'll send out the recording along with the presentation shortly after. With us today are Gabrielle Nussbaum, a manager at Global Forest Watch, and Sophia Taglia-Lavore, Emma Barrow, and Simon Mitchell from Three-Sided Cube. Gabrielle works on user engagement and project implementation for Forest Watcher and Map Builder. She partners with governments, NGOs, and academic institutions to combine national data with global data and technology from Global Forest Watch to monitor forests and land use on national and local scales. She'll provide a demo of the Forest Watcher mobile app later on. Global Forest Watch's partnership with Three-Sided Cube started in 2018 when they started working to help stabilize the app from crashes and improve the user experience. Since then, they have done continuous enhancements to the app, as well as user testing at the last Global Forest Watch Summit with rangers to ensure that the platform worked effectively for those using it on the ground. We're very excited that the Three-Sided Cube team will be joining us for the Q&A at the end. During this webinar, we'll offer an introduction to both Global Forest Watch and Forest Watcher, elaborating on Forest Watcher's purpose, intended users, and how the recently released features will help improve the offline forest monitoring experience. We'll then offer a demo of Forest Watcher and highlight the recommended specs for a mobile device, as well as where you can find additional information on how to use the mobile app. At the end, we'll provide ample time for questions. Global Forest Watch offers an integrated, openly accessible suite of tools designed to enable experts and non-experts alike to access information about forest change and mobilize action. Some high-level examples of how this is done include increasing knowledge and transparency about forest landscapes. Global Forest Watch tools and data offer access to the state of the world's forests to everyone, everywhere for free. Harnessing information to mobilize local action by governments and civil society. We have a variety of partners and some programs that help promote data-driven action. And lastly, advancing private sector action to stop commodity-driven deforestation and manage forests sustainably. One of our tools, Global Forest Watch Pro, allow the private sector to measure risk associated with their supply chains. Here's an example of what you can see on the Global Forest Watch platform. This particular dataset is the near real-time GLAD deforestation alerts. The GIF visualizes as tree cover loss spreads, indicating a new logging road entering a national park buffer zone in Peru. The main Global Forest Watch platform is intended to use from a desktop and with good internet, which can be limiting for users based in the field who don't have regular access to a desktop or to good internet connection. As such, Forest Watcher was then thought of as a mobile solution for monitoring forests in low connectivity settings. The app was first piloted by the Jane Goodall Institute in Uganda a few years ago with local forest rangers and communities, who at the time realized they could only monitor their areas by going through trails. It was too challenging to navigate off the trails because of the growth and difficulty navigating the path. But a lot of the illegal activity was happening off the trails and out of sight. So, Forest Watcher was created with the intention of allowing people in the field with internet connection to navigate to deforestation or fire alerts and monitor possible forest change. Forest Watcher is intended for many users. We have a lot of partners around the world in different contexts and with the different capacities using the app, such as Ugandan forest rangers, indigenous communities in Colombia, civil society and police groups in Indonesia, and many others. It's meant for a wide audience and is created in a way that's customizable so that it can be adapted to particular needs. I'll now pass it off to Gabrielle to talk a little bit more about Forest Watcher.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Nussbaum, and I am the User Engagement and Project Implementation Manager for the Forest Watcher and Map Builder applications of Global Forest Watch. I'm excited today to give you an overview of the new version of Forest Watcher, which is Global Forest Watch's mobile application. Forest Watcher brings the dynamic online forest monitoring and alert systems of Global Forest Watch offline and into the field. With Forest Watcher, you can monitor areas of interest, view deforestation and fire alerts, navigate to a point to investigate, and then collect information about what you find, regardless of connectivity. Forest Watcher is open source, and it's also free to use. Forest Watcher is currently available in 8 languages: English, French, Portuguese, Spanish, Bahasa Indonesian, Malagasy, and Dutch. It is important to note that the app will operate in whichever language is set as your default language on your device. So if you would like to use Forest Watcher in French, your phone or device's default language must be set to French. Next slide. The Forest Watcher toolkit includes Forest Watcher Web, where you can create and manage a team, customize reports, and further manage your areas and your data. Next slide. With the release of Forest Watcher 2.0, there's many new app features, including the ability to monitor areas offline, expanded access to GFW data and basemaps, the ability to upload custom data and basemaps, improve navigation to forest change alerts and route tracking, and the ability to share app content with other devices. The Forest Watcher mobile app is available on both Apple and Android devices, and it is available now in your app store. So if you haven't downloaded the app already, I encourage you to do so and follow along. If you have already downloaded the app and haven't yet updated to the new version, which is version 2.0, I also encourage you to go to your app store and update the app to the newest version to get all of these new features. So now we'll show you the demo of the new version's features. And as I mentioned, if you do have the app, feel free to open it and follow along on your own device if you can. This demonstration will give you an overview of Forest Watcher and its features. I'll be walking you through the app on an Apple device today, but it will look similar on an Android device if that's what you're used to using. The app will prompt you to log in when you first open it. As you can see, you can log in with email, Facebook, Twitter, or Google. We recommend that if you already have a MyGFW account on the Global Forest Watch website, use the same login for Forest Watcher. If you do not already have a MyGFW account, you can click on the sign up link at the bottom of the screen. This will redirect you to Global Forest Watch to sign up for your MyGFW account. To use the option to log in with email, you must already have a MyGFW account. After you log in for the first time, you will be presented an overview of the new features in Forest Watcher. You can hit continue after you've viewed these new features. And the first thing that you'll need to do is to set up an area of interest. As you can see, you would receive a prompt to do so. Areas of interest are the areas that you intend to monitor using the Forest Watcher app. This could be an area of forest that you manage, or really any area that you want to keep track of. So for this example, I'm interested in monitoring an area in Cambodia. So I'm going to click on the search button. And you can either scroll down to find the country or you can type it in. So I'm going to type it in. And then I'll hit next. And then as you'll see, you'll get to a map of the country that you typed in. I can then zoom in and out of the country or the area by placing 2 fingers on the map and moving them away from each other to zoom in and closer to each other, to move out. You can also twist your fingers to move the map around. There's a compass feature in the top right corner in case you want to reorient yourself and bring north back to the top. You can also turn on contextual layers to help you orient yourself by clicking on the gear icon or cog on the upper right corner of the app. So I'll click on the gear icon now, and that'll bring up the layers. And right now, no layers are turned on. I'm going to turn contextual layers on by clicking on the circle, and you can see that it is now a green check, but right now it's showing 0 contextual layers. So I'm going to click on the gear icon again down underneath contextual layers. And you can see all of the contextual layers here. We have protected areas, and we also have the tree cover loss data from 2015 to 2018. This is the annual tree cover loss data provided by the University of Maryland. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the protected areas layer because I'm looking to find a protected area in Cambodia. I'll hit the back arrow to go back, and you can see now the new contextual layer is added to the map, and that's the blue that you see on the map. I'm going to then use this data to help me find my area of interest. Once you've found your area of interest, you can use your finger to draw out the boundaries of your area by tapping different points around the perimeter of the area that you want to monitor. So I'm just tapping out different points. Now, if I make a mistake, for example, I make it too far, on the bottom left, there's an undo, and this will take me back. Also, if you choose an invalid shape, for example, choosing something that's not a one whole shape, the app will tell you that the shape is invalid, and you can hit the undo button to go back. So I'm drawing out my area of interest, and as soon as I'm done, I'm going to hit the next button. You must now enter a name of the area you just created. So I'm going to name this Area 1. And then you'll hit Finish when completed. Your area is now set up and ready. It's up to date, and it will appear in the Areas section of the app. So if you go back to the home screen, which is by clicking this arrow back, you can see that there are 4 different options: areas, reports, routes, and settings. And by clicking on areas, you will now see your area of interest there. If you would like to add more areas, there is a green plus button on the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Clicking here allows you to create additional areas of interest. I'll go back, and you can see at the bottom of the screen, there is also a Share Areas button. When you hit that button, you have an option to select your area, all your areas, or just one area, multiple areas. And when you do, you'll notice that the file size will display on the Share Areas button. So you can see here that my area is 1.2 kilobytes. When you hit this button, you then have the option to save your area or to send it to your contacts as a sharing bundle. And this can then be opened by any of your contacts, and it would be displayed in their own device within their Forest Watcher app. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to send this area to anyone right now. Right now, I'm actually interested in looking closer at the area I've created. And I'm going to click the area, and I'm going to allow Forest Watcher to use my location because this is important when I'm going on my routes to investigate any alerts. So here you'll see a prompt that tells you that you can create reports and routes for your area by dropping a pin. That icon on the lower right of your screen is the pin icon to drop a pin. And by tapping on it, you can also see that you can create reports and routes also by tapping on any alerts in the app. So you'll have some prompts that kind of help you and tell you where to go. You can also customize the map display by the gear icon or the cog on the upper right-hand corner. And here is where you can turn on and off the layers that are relevant to you and your area. So right now, I'm going to click on the gear icon to see what layers are open. And you can see that in the cog, there are different available layer types for customization: alerts, routes, reports, and contextual layers. On the bottom of the screen, you can also see that there is a place for you to change your base map. So for example, if I click on that, I can see that the base map is currently set to satellite, but I can change it to default, dark, or if I click on the bottom, I can actually manage my base maps. But I can also manage my base maps from the settings screen. So I'm going to go into more detail about base maps and how to manage that later. So right now I'm interested in monitoring alerts in my area. So I can look at my available layers and I can see that already under alerts, it's the green check means it's turned on already. And underneath it, it says showing GLAD, which means GLAD alerts are already switched on for this area. By clicking on that gear icon, I can manage my alerts that are being shown for this area. For GLAD alerts, pink pixels show that there was an alert that occurred within the chosen time frame. Yellow pixels show new or recent alerts that are within the last 7 days, and green pixels show alerts that I have reported on using the app. I will get to how to report on an alert next. For the VEERS fires alerts, red pixels show alerts within the time frame chosen, and purple pixels show alerts that I have reported on. To change the time frame of the alerts, click on the bar under time frame. You can see that for GLAD alerts, there's the option of 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, and 12 months, and I can hit done. And for fires alerts, if I were to turn those on and look at the time frame, there's the option of 1 day, 2 days, 6 days, and 12 days. I'm going to turn off fires because right now I'm interested in looking at deforestation alerts that happened within a 1 month time frame. So going back to the map by clicking the arrow in the upper left corner, you can see that there's 2 pink circles. One has the number 457 and one has the number 49. And these are alerts that have been bundled into groups to make them more manageable. So if I zoom out more by putting 2 fingers on the map and putting them closer together, you can see them coming together to show that there's 506 alerts within the last month. And if I go in closer, they'll start to disperse more as the level of detail is higher. You can also click on a bundle of alerts, and as I click on the bundle, it'll zoom in more and more until you get to the pixel level detail. When I click on an alert, you can see the type of alert it is and the date it was issued at the bottom of the screen. So you can see that this is a GLAD alert that was issued on the 17th of September. At the very bottom of the screen, you have a menu of options for this alert. The first one on the left is the triangle and the green circle, and this will allow you to start recording a route, and we'll discuss that shortly on how to do that. The next icon is the X, and this will deselect your alert. So I can click it and click the X and it takes it away. You can also just hit the alert itself to turn it on and off. So you can either touch the pixel to turn it on and off, or the X will deselect it. The next icon is the GPS icon, and that will immediately center the map to your location. And this will help you navigate to your alert. The last icon allows you to report on your chosen alert. And you can also click on multiple alerts and report on multiple at once, or record a route or a patrol for all of these alerts at once if you would like to. Now, perhaps you might see some deforestation that the GLAD alert did not pick up, or you see something interesting in the area. If so, you can use the pin icon and put the pin to wherever you would like to then make a report or a route to, so it does not have to correlate to an alert. I can also center the pin on an alert, and you can see at the top, it'll show you your own coordinates. So my coordinates where I am are at the very top. It'll show you the coordinates of the destination where the pin is, and it'll also show you how far away from your destination. If I'd like to record a route, I can click on the icon on the bottom left, the triangle and the green circle, and start walking. Once your route has started, you'll see the bottom left has now turned into a red circle, the red button. And this you would click on when you would stop walking, and it would stop recording your route. To report on an alert or at a point wherever, if your pin is somewhere, the alert needs to be selected, or you need to have the pin drop to the location. You would then click on the notepad icon, and you will first be prompted to take a picture of the area. To take a photo, you would click on the camera icon on the bottom left. Here you can choose to take a photo, or you can select an image already stored on your phone by selecting Choose from Library. If you decide to take a photo, you'll have an option to retry or select OK. And you can take multiple photos by clicking on the camera icon again, or delete photos by tapping the trash can. So I'm going to upload a photo from my library. I'm going to upload this photo, and you can see that I can upload a second photo if I'd like, or I could delete this photo by clicking the trash can. Once you're happy with your photo, you would click the green arrow. You will then be prompted with questions from the report template assigned to your area. You can create a custom template using Forest Watcher Web, or you can use the standard template that comes with the app. The template's questions are conditional based on your answers. So for this one, it'll say, do you see deforestation or degradation, with the options of yes, no, or unsure. So I'll choose yes, and then click next. So now it's asking, is the deforestation or degradation recent? So I can say yes or no. And also it's asking me or indicating if there's any regrowth. So I can say yes. And now it's asking me to describe the driver. So I will say clear cutting, and then I can hit next. So do you think further action should be taken in this area? If you say yes, you can write a brief description as to why, or any other information about what you might recommend. But you don't have to write anything here. So you can hit next, and then there's a place where you lastly can put any other notes, and then you can complete the report. If you would like to save the report as a draft rather than complete the report, you can hit this bookmark icon on the top right-hand side, and it'll say Save for Later. It will appear as a draft in the report section. But I'm not going to save this as a draft. I'm happy with my report, so I'm going to hit Next. And now's your chance to review your reports, make sure everything's correct. It'll already automatically populate the date, your coordinates, where you've reported your coordinates, what kind of alert it was, and then your answers to the questionnaire in your picture. And you'll have the option to delete the report and start again if you're not happy with it or something's incorrect. Or you can send the report. So I'm going to hit send, and you'll see report is sent. I'm still on my route though, so I can continue to create new reports along my route by clicking on another alert along the way and dropping a pin to my location if I didn't want to do that. So I can deselect this. I can drop a pin somewhere else. I can make a new report. But once I'm done with my route, I will click the red stop button on the bottom left of the screen. And you can from here stop and save your route, or you can delete your route as well. If you've made a mistake and you'd like to continue on your route, you can tap the big X next to stop route tracking to take you back to the map and continue your route. But right now I want to stop and save my route. So you'll want to give your route a name. So I'll call it Route 1. And then you can change the difficulty of how easy it was. So the options are easy, medium, or hard. So this one, you would have to move back and forth. And then you'd hit the save route. So now you're back on your first screen. You can see that the alert is now green, indicating that I have reported on it. So now if I hit the arrow out of the map view and leave the areas view as well, back to the home screen, I can click on reports, so the second bar, and you can see that my report is listed there. Reports will be saved as completed until you have internet access. And when you have internet access, they'll be saved as uploaded, where they're saved to the server. I currently do have internet access, so mine was uploaded immediately. But if you're out in the field and don't have it, it won't be uploaded until you have Wi-Fi again, but it will be saved locally on your device until you can upload it. Only uploaded reports are viewable on Forest Watcher Web. You can click on an individual report to review report contents. So I can click the report, and then you also still have the option to delete the report if you had made a mistake. You cannot, however, edit the report after it has been completed. When you are viewing a report, you can click on the green icon on the top left to export it if you would like. Reports can be exported as a sharing bundle or as a CSV. Also, if you see that your reports are categorized as completed and you already have internet access, then you will see here an option to upload the report as well. So then it'll be categorized as uploaded. So I am going to go back to my reports screen right here, and you can see that at the bottom, there's also an option to share reports. So if I click that, I activate sharing mode. And from here, you can choose select all if you have multiple reports you'd like to share, or you can share individual reports or pick and choose which reports you might want to share. When I click on a report, you'll see the file size at the bottom. And then when you click share reports, you can then export it as a sharing bundle or export it as a CSV. So now I'm going to click the arrow on the upper left to go back to my home screen, and I'm going to look at my routes by clicking on the routes bar. So here you'll be able to see all of your saved routes. You can click on settings on the route to access its details. You can view it on the map, so you can see where you walked in map view. And you can also see the distance, the date, the difficulty, how long it took you to do this route, and you can make changes to the name and you can edit the difficulty. You could also delete it if you made a mistake. Like with reports and areas, you can also share your routes by clicking the share button to activate share mode. And it will be the exact same workflow where you can then share it to your contacts or also download it to your device. Lastly, you can actually download your route to use in offline mode by clicking the download button, which is on the bottom left-hand corner of your route. So clicking that will download the route, which you now see has turned into a little check, which means that it's been downloaded. Now let's go back to our home screen, and you can see from here we'll explore our settings option. So I'm going to click on settings at the bottom. So in the settings menu, the first option you'll see is an option to log out. This is especially useful if you are sharing devices amongst team members. Also within settings, you can change your coordinates format. If you tap on the bar under coordinates format, you can see a screen that asks what format you'd like to display. with the option of decimal, degrees, or UTM. So you can choose your option and then tap Done. Next in the settings, you'll have the ability to toggle offline mode. Offline mode is useful in areas where you might not have Wi-Fi connection and you don't want to use up your data. So this will allow you to still go on routes and collect reports, but you don't have to upload the reports until you have Wi-Fi connection again. So this would be similar to your phone's airplane mode, but just for the app. The app won't try to connect to Wi-Fi or your data while in offline mode, so you can protect your data. And you can see when you're in your areas, it will say on the top right, offline mode. So it'll let you know that you're in offline mode, so any new reports you create will not be uploaded. So I'm gonna go back to my settings and I'm going to turn off airline mode. Below offline mode, you'll see a bar that says basemaps, and this is where you'll manage your basemaps. Here you can add custom basemaps, you can share your basemaps, and you can also download the default basemaps for offline use. So we'll go into basemaps, and you can see the 3 default basemaps: satellite, default, and dark. To download any of these basemaps, or all of them for offline use, you would use the little download icon, which is to the right of each default basemap. You can see that they say not downloaded. So I will download default, and the green bar will appear as the map is downloading. When it's finished downloading, it will say downloaded, and the download icon will change to a check mark. I'm going to let this download a little bit because it does take some time to download. But once it's downloaded, you'll then be able to switch to this basemap when you don't have internet access or when the app is in offline mode. If you'd like to add a custom basemap, you would click the green plus sign in the top right corner up. Now you can see that it finished downloading and it says downloaded. So to add a custom basemap, you'd click this green check. Here you can see that the supported file types are MB tiles. It's important to note that the basemap cannot have any vector elements. So I'll click custom basemap. I will add the basemap I'd like. I have to name it, so I'll just name it satellite 2, and then I can import the basemap. And you can see under custom basemaps that this basemap shows up, and you can also see the file size underneath it. So now this basemap will be available if I go back and I go back to my areas and I open my area. I can click the gear icon. I can click where it says basemap at the very bottom, and I can turn on satellite, and I can go back, and the basemap should change to the new satellite basemap that I just downloaded, as it just did. I'm gonna go back to my settings and basemaps. Now I have default basemap also downloaded, but if I want to delete that and make it not downloaded, I would hit the edit button at the bottom left. And here I can delete the downloaded default basemap so that it's no longer available in offline use, and it would only be available in online use. But I could also edit and delete my custom basemaps as well. So let's say I'll delete default, and you can see that now it's turned back into not downloaded, and I'll hit done on the top right. And you can also share basemaps by clicking the share basemap on the bottom right corner. And here, when I hit that, I can then select the basemaps that I'd like to share. I can only share my custom basemaps. If I select it, you can see that the file size again shows on the bottom, just like it did with the areas and with the reports and the routes. And then I can download it to my device, or I can share it to one of my contacts. So I'm going to go back now. Now let's look at the settings of our contextual layers. Here you can download layers for offline use, and this is going to be the same process as basemaps, so I won't go into that now. And you can also add new contextual layers. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click the top right plus, and you can see that there's two different types of layers. You can add a Global Forest Watch layer or a custom contextual layer. So to add a Global Forest Watch layer, I'd click there, and there are 7 additional layers that you can add. So for example, if I wanted to add managed forest concessions, I'd click there, and you can see that you can view the description of the layer. And you can also download the layer so that it's available for offline use, or you can do online access only, and this layer will then only be available when you're online. So for this demonstration purpose, I'm going to click online access only. I'm going to add the layer, and you can see that this layer is now shown at the bottom of the managed forest concessions. If you change your mind and you'd like to download the layer, you can still do so from here. And you can also delete the layer when you hit edit. If you'd like to add your own custom layer, you'd click the plus sign again on the top right. And you can see the supported file types at the bottom. So I'm going to click custom layer. I'm going to find the layer that I want to add. I can add a name for it, and then I'm going to import the layer. And you can see that the layer now exists under custom layers. The file size is underneath it, and I can actually share any of these layers. So I can select all of them, I can deselect all, I can share one layer or multiple layers. And when I click share layers, I can then save it to my phone, or I can send it to a contact. Lastly, you have the option to share all app data, which is under contextual layers. By clicking this button, all custom layers, basemaps, areas, reports, and routes will be shareable as a bundle. So you can save it to your phone, or you could send it to a contact, and they can open the bundle on the app on their own device. So if I click there, you'll see that that automatically gives me the option to save or to send. Some other things to note is we have an About This App section. We've expanded our frequently asked questions in the app to give you more detail around the new features in case you have any additional questions when you're exploring the app on your own. And you can learn more about our terms and conditions and our partners. And if you have any issues, you can feel free to contact us using the button at the bottom. I hope you enjoy using the new and improved Forest Watcher app, and that you find the new features useful for your work. If you have any questions about the app and its use, experience any difficulties using it, or would just like to tell us a bit more about how you use the app in your work, we'd love to hear from you. So we also have recommended device specifications. So please just take note of it, because this is what you would need for the most effective use of Forest Watcher. And Forest Watcher is not supported on some older versions of Android and of Apple operating system. I'll pass it back now to Alice, who will tell you more about how to find additional resources for navigating Forest Watcher.
Great, thanks, Gabby. So to find additional information on how to use Forest Watcher to monitor forest change offline, please visit the Global Forest Watch Help Center. There you will find step-by-step tutorials, webinars, FAQs, and more that can help guide you through the mobile app, as well as other Global Forest Watch tools. Here's a quick example of what those step-by-step tutorials look like. As a reminder, we'll send a copy of this presentation with the links attached alongside a recording of this webinar. All right, so thank you all for joining. We'll now open it up for a Q&A. So if you have a question, please enter it through the Q&A button. So the first question is, Planet already is on the Global Forest Watch website. Will Planet satellite imagery be available on Forest Watcher as well? Gabby, would you like to take this question?
Sure. So yeah, we are excited that we now are able to make available planet imagery on the Global Forest Watch flagship site. This is a new feature currently for Global Forest Watch. So we're looking into whether we can integrate it into other Global Forest Watch apps for future releases. So that is still to be determined, but we are hopeful.
Great, thanks, Gabby. The next question is about Forest Watcher Web and what the plan is for the development of Forest Watcher Web and whether the reports function would be developed further with maps and photos. Sophia, would you want to take this question on?
Sure. So we are very keen to improve Forest Watcher Web now that we have had the opportunity to improve the app to obtain more data and allow users to investigate deforestation. So we are working with Gabby to identify the opportunities to improve Forest Watcher Web and any feedback on how that could be improved so that it can become more effective. We would love to hear it so that we can make sure the next round of features are effective for you.
Thanks, Sophia. All right, so the next question is, I tried to use the app in a natural reserve of Colombia, but the satellite images had clouds and I could not obtain the alerts. It is possible that the clouds do not allow to obtain the alerts of the reserve. And how can I solve this problem with the clouds? Sophia or Simon, would you want to take this question?
I can take this if you want. So the clouds will be baked into the imagery that we're being provided by Open Maps. In terms of the alerts should display on top of the base map, so that it shouldn't affect the ability for the app to display alerts. You do need a connection to download alerts. So if you weren't in an area with connection, that could be why alerts weren't showing at that point.
I can also just add that if the area is cloudy, we might not have alerts for that area because alerts are obtained using satellite imagery. So if it's unable to see the forest, it's unable to see if there's any deforestation in that area. So it's possible that there are no alerts because of cloud cover.
Thanks, Simon and Gabby. All right, so the next question is, if one wants to monitor a custom area with random set points of interest, so not GLAD or VIIRS alerts, and navigate to them, should they upload a base map or contextual layer, and would they be able to navigate to the specific points through Forest Watcher? And then a secondary question within that was about the inclusion of the 2019 tree cover loss data. Sophia or Emma, would you want to take that question on?
Sure. So if you're looking to monitor a custom area with a random set of points, you can either upload that as a base map if you want to see your specific area overlaid on the map and then create that as an area, or you can add that the area as a contextual layer, and then you can see the specific area that you want to add to your app. So you would still need to add the area, but you can use the base map or the contextual layer to provide you context of where that specific area is on the map. And then you would be able to navigate to that specific point through Forest Watcher, as you would be able to drop the pin and then start the route, but you wouldn't be receiving any you would only receive GLAD alerts or VIIRS alerts for that area if they are available through the system. And then the inclusion of the Forest Loss 2019 dataset, that is on our list to include, and that is something that we will be working on with Gabby to get added in as soon as possible.
Great, thanks, Sophia. All right, so the next question is, how could journalists use the tool to find and report on deforestation stories? Gabby, would you want to take this one on?
Sure, yeah, so this tool is really could be used by anyone, right? It's free and it's open source. So, so if there's a specific area that a journalist might know is a hot area for deforestation, or there's a few different areas that the journalist already knows about, you do have to know of the areas in advance. You could then use the tool to report and see on the ground and kind of report back and make notes as to what's happening. And then you could use those in your stories. Global Forest Watch also puts out a tool called Places to Watch. And this could help you find areas that might be interesting to report on.
Thanks, Gabby. All right, so the next question is, how do you assess biodiversity as a layer? I'm not sure if, Zhengqian, I don't know if you meant assess or access, but I believe that the biodiversity layers are available as a Global Forest Watch contextual layer and can be added via the settings section of the application. If you meant something else, please feel free to follow up with another question. Another question is there any tool to record audio at inspected locations? Emma, would you like to take this question on?
Yes, I will. So we have actually looked to scope to have audio as part of the reporting. However, we haven't put it out in this particular release. However, it is something that is on the roadmap backlog for the Forest Watcher app. So if it is something that we get quite a lot of user feedback for, then we would definitely be looking to see how we could implement that on maybe a future release.
Great, thanks, Emma. And just a note, we're very open to all of your feedback in regard to the app. So if you have ideas or just general feedback on its performance, please feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear from you. So the next question is, how long after a fire report is uploaded for a site I monitor, the Global Forest Watch send me an alert email? Gabby, would you want to take this one on?
Yeah, sure. So when you're monitoring an area, when an alert is in that area, you should get an email, I think pretty immediately. So it might take some time for the alert to notice if there is a fire. But when it does, and when that alert is in that area, you will get an email that it's there. So there shouldn't be a lag as far as I'm aware.
Thanks, Gabby. All right, so the next question is, would you recommend this app for undergrad students in forestry as a learning tool for forest inventory or forest monitoring? Gabby, would you want to take this one on as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. It could definitely be used as a learning tool. If you are teaching a class and you'd like to kind of, show them, firstly, I think it could be a good tool to navigate just forests of the world and to look at what alerts and what data is out there, but to also plan out routes to figure out what kind of information you might want to collect on an alert. So then you can, again, customize your reports and then also plan out a workflow for forest monitoring. I think there's a lot that you could do with the app if you wanted to use it as a learning tool. Absolutely.
Thanks, Gabby. All right, so Zhengqian has followed up about the biodiversity question, asking how is biodiversity assessed or measured? I think you can read more about the biodiversity data either on the Global Forest Watch main platform at globalforestwatch.org or on the Forest Watcher mobile app. But Gabby, would you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Oh, yep. Hi, sorry. Yeah, sure. So we do have metadata on on the Forest Watcher app, and we also have metadata on the Global Forest Watch website. So I would recommend going into the app and having a look at the information there, because I don't have it at the top of my head. But we always provide more information about how the data was created.
Thanks, Gabby. So the next question is, are there any updates on the integration of Global Forest Watch with other tools such as SMART? Sophia, would you want to take this question on?
Sure.
I can actually take this one on, Alice. Sorry, Sophia.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so we are planning on integrating GLAD alerts into SMART. So I believe that SMART is actually coming out with a mobile mobile application as well, and they also have a few other. They're kind of restructuring their offer, and they're working currently on integrating GLAD alerts into that, so you will be able to access those alerts in SMART.
Thanks, Gabby. All right, so the next question is, how can you use boundaries from GIS or Google Earth? Sophia or Gabby, would you want to take this one?
I might actually hand this one over to Simon just to talk a little bit about the contextual layer formats that can be accepted.
Great.
Sure. So yeah, basically, as long as you can get your boundary data in one of the formats that we allow, then you can add it as a custom contextual layer. So via settings, contextual layers, the plus button. The formats we support are GeoJSON with the JSON extension and with the GeoJSON extension, TopOJSON, GPX, zip files, KMZ and KML. There are some things that we don't support in KMZ, like network links, but that shouldn't affect adding boundaries, I would imagine.
Thanks, Simon. All right, so the next question is, are there any plans to improve detection of forest fires and deforestation in biomes such as the Cerrado, Savannah? Gabby, would you want to take on that question?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. That's really more about the GLAD alerts and the data. It's true that the detection is not doesn't pick up as strongly in those biomes. I believe that we are working on, or the University of Maryland, and they're the ones who are providing this data, are working at improving the algorithm and improving the data, but I don't have more information about what that would actually be and when it would come out. We don't create the data ourselves, so we get the data from the University of Maryland, who were the ones who created it. But we know that this is an issue, and it's something that we are working with the University of Maryland on improving.
Thanks, Gabby. We have time for a couple more questions. So the next one is whether it's possible to integrate different reports from Forest Watcher into one. Gabby, would you want to take this question as well?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on what you mean by integrate into one. You can customize reports on Forest Watcher web. You can't merge them, but you can see all of your reports on map view in the area view, and you can also see the list of the reports. Something else you could do is you could export the reports as a CSV, and you can combine them as a CSV if you're looking at combining the data or doing analyses on all the different reports and the data within it. So that could be a solution if that's what you mean.
Thanks, Gabby. And Manuel, if you meant something else, please feel free to follow up with a clarifying question. All right, so one more question is, can Forest Watcher give only repository satellite data? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Sophia, do you have a sense of how to answer that question?
No, I'm afraid I don't, but if they can provide some more detail and follow up with you guys, then we'd be happy to try and support and answer that one.
Great, thank you. All right. I think that is it for now. If we were not able to get to your question, please feel free to follow up with myself or Gabby or the General Forest Watcher team. Our emails are on the screen. We'll also try to reach out to you if we were unable to get to your question, just to follow up and ensure we can get down to what the question was. So thank you again, everyone, for joining. We appreciate you taking the time to join us during this webinar. One last note, we'd also love to hear your feedback on Forest Watcher to help ensure it's as useful as possible for users like you. So again, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions or thoughts or general feedback. Thanks, everyone.